welcome back to Get Fit for a Purpose, the podcast where we dive into all things fitness and nutrition for those of us well into our middle age. I'm your host, Jo, and today we're talking about a topic that's on many of our minds as the festive season rolls round, and that's how to navigate eating out and enjoying all of the festivities with friends and family without derailing your nutrition goals. So Christmas is just around the corner, and with it comes a whole load of social events, dinners out, and let's be honest, a fair bit of indulgence and temptation around the home with extra sweets and treats sitting in the cupboards. The first thing really that I want to say is this: don't stress. Please don't stress, because a few days of indulgence is not actually going to have a huge impact on your long-term goals. It's really what you do on the other 360 odd days of the year that's going to have the most impact on achieving your goals. But if you've got a lot of events lined up and you want to make some healthier choices, even if you haven't got a fat loss goal, but perhaps because you want to avoid bloating, discomfort, indigestion, upset tummies, or just that horrible lethargic feeling, and how all of that can impact upon your enjoyment of the holiday period, then listen up, because I've got some tips and strategies over the next few minutes to help you keep on track. So tip number one is all about planning. Plan ahead. If you know where you're going to be eating, I'd always recommend taking a look at the menu online before you go. Most restaurants these days have got a menu online, and it helps you decide on a healthier option and perhaps a backup in case that's not available, so that when you're sitting there in the restaurant with that menu in front of you, you've already made your decision about what you're having. It's set in your mind. You're not overwhelmed by all the tempting choices. You can even choose not to look at the menu other than to just quickly check that what you've pre-selected is available. And I find that that little bit of prep work really can make a big difference. And to be honest, it's something I do for pretty much every planned out meal that I have. Next, just think about the balance on the plate. So when you're choosing, try to fill half of your plate with vegetables, a quarter with lean protein, and the remaining quarter with either whole grains or starchy vegetables. And that's not just good advice for eating out, it's a good rule of thumb for any meal. So this is particularly important when you're eating out and perhaps thinking about those little side orders that sometimes tempt you in, or the server will encourage you to add to your order. If you are going to go for extras, then lean in towards those vegetable options rather than the extra carbs, like an extra bowl of chips or poppadoms if you're in an an Indian restaurant. The other thing to bear in mind is portion sizes, because those can be really tricky in a restaurant. Most restaurants these days serve way more than we need at one meal sitting. It's not unusual to see one meal being way over 800 calories. And I say that because in the UK, at least, most larger restaurant chains will have a rough guide to the calories on the menu against each option. And it can be really scary to see sometimes. So things to consider here are perhaps ordering a starter as a main course. If I'm being honest, I'll often do that, especially if I'm out for lunch, or even take a look at the kids menu and see if there's anything on there that takes your fancy, just obviously because that's almost certainly going to have a smaller portion size. If you know you're going to be having a 2 or 3 courses at the meal that you've gone out to, then you could offer to share a starter with someone. Again, that's something I quite often do. I don't know about you, but I rarely have 2 or 3 courses at home when I eat. So actually having multiple courses, I don't find it really that enjoyable, and I can easily feel bloated if I do that. So I tend to try and avoid that. The other thing to do is it's really important to listen to your body. And remember that you don't have to clear your plate, no matter what your mum and dad instilled into you when you were younger. Don't do it. Eat until you're satisfied, not stuffed. And don't be shy to take any leftovers home for another meal. So let's move on to drinks. Some obvious options here are for you to choose water for the table and dig into that straight away. If you start filling yourself up with water, then that kind of in some ways fills you up, or it does fill you up, and stops you going in for extra chips, because you should fill, if you're filled up with water, then that will fill up the space for you. And obviously your other alternative is to choose some low calorie drink, so whether that's Diet Coke or a slimline tonic to go with your meal. If you are drinking alcohol with your meal, which isn't that unusual, a good rule is to alternate each drink with a glass of water. So that not only keeps you hydrated, it also helps you avoid overindulging. And just remember, enjoy yourself. Remember, these few days of enjoying your favourite foods aren't going to ruin your diet. The worst case, it's just going to set you back a few days. That's it. It's just going to take you a tiny bit longer to get to your goal. It's not going to ruin them. You shouldn't chuck in the towel if you have one big blowout meal on Christmas Day. So you will take you a little bit longer to get to your goal, but you won't have had to put your life on hold while you're dieting. And I think that's really important. So enjoy Christmas. It's about balance. It's about making maybe a few compromises, making a conscious effort to make a few healthier choices, and enjoying the festive season. It's not about sacrificing all of your fun and over restricting. Also, over the next few weeks, don't forget to stay active. Keep up with your regular exercise routine as much as possible. Even a brisk walk in the morning, just for 10 minutes, or even better after a meal, that can make a huge difference on how you feel. Before I wrap up, I want to talk about mindset. When you're deciding what to eat, ask yourself, does this align with my health goals? Now, this isn't about guilt tripping yourself. It's about making choices that you're happy with. Remember, no food is bad. Enjoy your favourites in moderation. Savour each bite. And most importantly, the company you're with. After the event, I find it sometimes quite useful just to take a moment to reflect on the choices you made. Again, it's not about judging yourself, it's about understanding what worked for you and learning from the experience. So that's all for this episode. Remember, the festive season is a time for family, friends, and celebration. So enjoy it with your friends and family. Please don't stress about the food too much. I hope these tips help you through the festive season. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.